a road trip guide to 5 incredible national park sites in southeast Arizona. In this video, we are focusing on 5 park sites with generally easy access from I-10. Our journey starts at Fort Bowie National Historic Site. Not far away is Chiricahua National Monument, found 120 miles east of Tucson, followed by Coronado National Memorial, 21 miles south of Sierra Vista. Then flanking the city of Tucson is Saguaro National Park's 2 districts. And our journey ends at our northernmost park in this video, Grande Ruins National Monument. The ruins are found east of the city of Grande in Coolidge. These parks are found in the region between the Arizona-New Mexico border and Phoenix. Arizona has 24 national park units managed by the National Park Service, plus 3 national monuments administered by the Bureau of Land Management, and 1 that is co-managed. But if you throw in national trails and heritage areas, there's even more to see under the National Park Service jurisdiction. A National Park Pass is your ticket to all of them and more. We have been to most of them, and I encourage you to visit as many of them as you can. They're all wonderful. And don't forget to stamp your park passport book. Also, send yourself a postcard. It's the least expensive souvenir you'll ever buy. Travel across America with me. We are going to some really scenic and historic sites. The 1,000-acre, spectacular Fort Bowie National Historic Site is truly a sight to behold. The surrounding mountain scenery of the Dos Cabezas and the Chiricahua Mountains is breathtaking, and the ruins are captivating. Park visitors are allowed to walk among the ruins. Signage helps you indulge in a greater understanding of what was once a vibrant and active fort site during the Apache Wars. This park has 2 approaches, one from the east at the small, almost abandoned town of Bowie, and one from the small town of Wilcox. Take exit 362 off I-10 at Bowie to travel approximately 15 miles to the parking area to the Fort Bowie trailhead. If you approach the park from the west from Tucson, exit at Wilcox and travel south. Visitors approaching from this direction must be willing to endure Apache Pass Road over the west summit of Apache Pass via a rough, often poorly graded dirt road to reach the parking area. Whichever way you proceed to the park, you must then hike 1.5 miles to get to the historic ruins site and visitor center. But don't be dismayed. There are plenty of great things to see along the way before you reach the grand finale. The picturesque adobe structure ruins, walls, and remaining rock foundations of this former fort and Butterfield stage station ruins are preserved at this monument. For a bird's-eye view of the fort ruins, hike to the overlook, accessed from a trail behind the visitor center. Dirt pathways weave around the ruins, and signage provides excellent details about the remaining structures. In 1858, coaches on the 2,800-mile Butterfield Overland Mail Route stopped 4 times weekly at the stage station next to the fort. The mail route ran from Memphis and St. Louis to San Francisco. Apache Pass is a natural gateway through the Dos Cabezas and the Chiricahua Mountains and is the highest point on the mail route. For 30 years, Fort Bowie protected the coveted Apache Pass. Those seeking gold in California also utilized the pass, desperately hoping to avoid conflict with the local Apaches, who had resided in the area since the 1400s. Cochise, you may have heard of him, accepted peace with the U.S. military in 1872. Afterward, he visited the fort to socialize with the soldiers on occasion. Geronimo surrendered in 1886 and hostilities finally ended, giving way to the Chiricahua Apaches being relocated to Alabama and Florida. Geronimo was a respected medicine man. Cochise's son, Naiche, was the Chiricahua Apache leader. Once warring with the Apaches ended, the fort closed in 1894. I got a little hint here. It's a tip, actually. In off-season, you can call the visitor center to request to park by the visitor center to avoid the 1.5-mile hike. We did this one time, but I'm not sure why you would want to do that because you'll miss out what's on that trail. Take exit 340 for Wilcox from I-10 and travel a little over 35 miles south along routes 186 and 181 to Chiricahua National Monument. This is quite a sight through the windshield. The 12,025-acre park is a land of ash and pumice balanced rocks, towering spires and massive stone columns. 17 miles of established trails lace the impressive rocky maze. This is one of the state's Sky Islands. Chiricahua is often referred to as the land of standing-up rocks. The 40-mile-long Chiricahuan mountain range is an inactive volcanic range, and the monument lies at the convergence of the Sonoran and Chihuahuan deserts and the Rocky Mountains and Mexico's Sierra Madre Mountains. The jumbled mess of giant rocks served the Apaches well over their long-term scuffle with the U.S. Army over a century ago. go. Chiricahua National Monument offers an array of hiking trails suited for different levels of skill and interest. Many of them lace the impressive Rocky Maze. The distant location and limited access mean that relatively few people visit, and when you are planning to go to Chiricahua, be sure to go to Fort Bowie. Make it a doubleheader. This park was designated as the world's 104th International Dark Sky Park in April of 2021. The night sky in Arizona is incredible, even in the city of Tucson. Poised on the international border between the U.S. and Mexico and identified as a sky island, Coronado National Memorial at the southern end of the Huachaca Mountains should not be missed. Off I-10, exit 302, Arizona 92, and travel south 50 miles. If you need provisions, buy them in Sierra Vista, which is along the way, especially if you will be continuing westbound through the raw countryside all the way to Nogales to catch I-19 to return to Tucson and points west. During one of our trips there, it was after a devastating fire had overcome most of the 4,750-acre oak forest-covered park. Hike the 1-mile moderate rocky path to the 600-foot-long Coronado Cave. From Coronado's Cave, continue along the park road to the incredible viewpoint of the San Pedro River Valley, afforded at the 6,575-foot Montezuma Pass. From there, the hike to the highest point will take your breath away, but so will the view. Francisco Vasquez de Coronado's expedition likely traversed the river valley heading east in 1540, but not onto any of the current parklands. You will see an extensive Border Patrol operation staged at this park, positioned along the U.S.-Mexican border. Park visitors continuing westbound to Parker Canyon Lake will eventually reach the exciting border towns of Nogales, Arizona, and Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. I will be sharing our recent trip and our previous visits to that Mexican border town soon. Take lots of water out on the hikes. Pack a great wholesome picnic and stick protein bars in your backpack. If you would like to buy us a protein bar or some fuel for our journeys, our CashApp is on the screen and in the description below. While we're taking a little break here, please subscribe. Now back to the rest of the park units. You won't believe your eyes. In the arid Sonoran Desert, 2 districts comprise the 91,000-plus acre park. It's Saguaro National Park. There are over 165 miles of hiking trails in the national park, a bonanza for cactus fans. The 8-mile one-way Cactus Forest Drive weaves through the picture-perfect saguaro forest of the Eastern District, the Rincon Mountain District. This district contains 128 miles of trails and 6 biotic communities. Cactus Forest Trail is our single favorite, but we make all kinds of combo loops incorporating many of the trails that can be accessed from Broadway and Speedway boulevards without going through the main park entrance. There is limited but adequate trailhead parking on these boulevards. At the Tucson Mountain District, that's the Western District, the 8.5-mile Bajada Loop Drive starts at the Red Hills Visitor Center. 6 miles of the loop drive are graded dirt. The major trails intersect, making for a variety of options through the marvelous Cactus Wonderland. Although they are similar, if time allows, it's nice to tour both districts. The park's namesake plant is North America's largest cactus, and the saguaro blossom is the state flower. The stately saguaro blooms nightly from late April into June, and each bloom lasts only 24 hours. Our first visit to the Western District was in May, the peak bloom time. The plant lives for 150 to 200 years, can reach 50 feet tall, and weigh up to 10 tons. A 20-foot saguaro weighs approximately 1 ton. Any saguaro with arms is a minimum of 75 years old. Amazing, isn't it? Animals and other cacti common to the desert flourish at this national park. The districts lie 30 miles apart on opposite sides of Tucson, and anyone spending time in Tucson should plan to spend a minimum of a half a day at each. Travel time between districts is approximately 45 minutes to an hour. So one long, hard day, you can get a good introduction to this amazing desert wonderland. But you gotta get out of the car and do some hiking. Now, our last stop. In Coolidge, visit the 472-acre Casa Grande Ruins National Monument. This monument is 60 miles southeast of Phoenix and 70 miles northwest of Tucson. If traveling northbound from Tucson, take exit 194. And if traveling southbound from Phoenix, take exit 185 off I-10 and travel approximately 16 miles on Arizona 387 to Coolidge. In 1892, President Benjamin Harrison set aside 1 square mile in Arizona territory surrounding the Hohokam archaeological ruins as the nation's first cultural reserve. There are 60 Indian sites preserved at the park, with the focal point being the circa 650 4-story caliche structure known as Casa Grande. Jesuit priest Father Eusebio Francisco Kino named it in 1694. This priest is foundational in many of the missions, and I will be mentioning him in more detail in future videos. Guests are allowed to walk through it and Compound A. The Hohokam culture flourished a millennium in the Sonoran Desert. Casa Grande was built of approximately 6 million pounds of caliche, that's clay, sand, and calcium carbonate. In 1932, the Park Service constructed an enormous metal shelter over the crumbling Casa Grande for protection against further destruction. I have a more in-depth video on Casa Grande. The link is in the description below. I do need you to make a note. This park closes daily at 4 p.m., kind early, so plan accordingly. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content on exploring America's most beautiful national park units and great hiking and byways. Oh yeah, by the way, Tucson makes a good base camp for visiting these parks. I have and will be posting more great sites to explore in the greater Tucson area soon. See the links below. Ugly shoes on the ground and classic road trip.